What's up, guys? It's Sage from No Contest Wrestling, and today I'm chopping up with Kiefer Bartek of New Texas Pro Wrestling. Let's get into it. What is New Texas Pro Wrestling?
We're a wrestling promotion that is based here in Texas, and we started in 2018. We really were actually a West Texas wrestling promotion for most of our existence. And whenever everything happened with the pandemic, we had a spot in Houston that would host us, and that's kind of been our new home lately. Has been Houston, Texas, which is obviously very, very far away from West Texas. And we've just kind of been rolling with that. It's a promotion that we use our Texas talent is what's most important to us. Building up the territory, not just with guys that we use per se on all of our shows, but just in general, we're trying to build up Texas in people's eyes. And I think we're kind of at the forefront of helping Texas wrestling become another, hotbed in the country. That's what we try to do at New Texas Pro Wrestling.
So what was the wrestling scene like before New Texas Pro Wrestling?
I wrestled for about 6 years on the scene here, and you get told pretty much from day one, like, if you want to make it in wrestling, you got to get out of Texas. And I just didn't think that was the case. I thought we just had a ton of talent here. I just didn't think it was seen, or I don't think it was put into the fabric of American indie wrestling. It wasn't really on there, like your Ricky Starks, your Keith Lees, your Ember Moons, your ACHs, guys like that, who you kind of knew, but they weren't like the indie darlings. They weren't like your Garganos, your Ciampas, got people like that who were on all the indie shows. They were just known here in Texas. And so, for us, it was really trying to establish the new crop of guys. Like once those guys got signed to kind of, your Mysterious Q's, your Bryan Keith, your Rok-C's, Rachel Rose, got people like that who are kind of the next people up. I wanted them to actually be mixed into, Bryan Keith feels like he's like an indie darling now, I would say, on the whole scene, as opposed to just being like a really good guy in Texas. And that's really what we're trying to do. And we're trying to become a part of the fabric of American indie wrestling.
So who are some standout wrestlers from New Texas Pro Wrestling? Like you mentioned, Bryan Keith, Mysterious Q, and Rok-C, but would you say those are like the three core like standouts, or are there more people?
Yeah, I would say we do have a core group of guys here that we use in New Texas. Max Heights is a guy who's been with us from day one. Your Aaron Mercer's, T-Ray, Fly Death, the tag team out this way. A lot of guys that I've known for a long time, a lot of guys who I feel like are ready or are becoming ready to kind of break out. And there's a lot of people here in Texas that I don't even get a chance to use. Someone like ASF, who's kind of blown up a little bit with GCW. I mean, there's other guys like that as well in Texas. Gino Medina's another guy who's with MLW. He's another one of our guys that we try to use every chance we can get. Again, it's like we did the Texas Indie Showcase not too long ago, and we brought 8 wrestling promotions around the state of Texas to, pretty much run a show under our umbrella. And a lot of the guys on that show weren't necessarily guys that we use every show, but guys that I have used or we plan on using. So, yeah, I mean, Texas is so deep with talent. I want these guys to get out and get signed and stuff, but I'm also happy as a promoter because we have such great talent here,
Can you tell me who Mysterious Q is?
So I met Mysterious Q at Booker T's Reality of Wrestling in 2014 when I first started, right? And he looks like a superstar when you see him. But the thing that makes Q so special is he has a great physique, but he also can go. Like he has like a unique style of kind of being a hoss, but he also has a unique style of like some lucha stuff that he can do. He's a high flyer. That's what he used to do when he was younger, because he's been in the game for 10 or 12 years now. So when he was younger, Q used to be high flying. He'd do the 450s, he'd do 619s, he would do all kinds of stuff, the topes over the top rope and stuff like that. He's kind of grown into a bigger frame, especially nowadays. Indie wrestling has gone, a little bit smaller than it was even when I started, 7 years ago or so. And, that's what makes Q unique, is that he can do both the high flying, the risk taking, but he can also pick up Calvin Tankman and, spin him around and give him his rack bomb. I don't know how many people who can do like a topecito and then they can pick up somebody like Calvin Tankman for a rack bomb, and pretty much in the same move he could do it if he wanted to. But I think that's what makes Mysterious Q special. And I think he's somebody that's also starting to come on the rise in the entire nation. I think he's going to be a name you're going to see a lot this next year everywhere.
Another popular name you mentioned is Bryan Keith. Can you tell me a little bit about him?
Bryan Keith is special for a lot of reasons. And he's another guy I met at Booker T's Reality Wrestling when I first started. And he's got a lot of cool things. People like the bounty hunter gimmick, the cowboy hat. That's something that people see and they're like, yeah, this is really cool. He's sponsored by Swishahouse, which is a very famous rap label here in the state of Texas. That, got the starts for Mike Jones, Chamillionaire, Slim Thug, Paul Wall, a plethora of guys here from the Houston area. And, for a wrestler to be sponsored by a rap label, I don't even think, I mean, there might be a situation, maybe with Master P up there in New York or something like that. But other than that, I can't really think of, a situation where there was that crossover. And I think a lot of people will really dig that. And like I said, he's an excellent wrestler. A lot of the guys from Booker's camp is just, they're trained right. They sometimes it's about getting in front of the right people or people seeing them and seeing what they can do. And everything's firing. Like Bryan Keith, I've known him for years. This is the most complete package that you've ever seen of Bryan Keith when he goes out from his gimmick to what he does in the ring. And I think a lot of people really respect that. And if you ever get a chance to meet Bryan, he's just a real dude, and he deserves everything that he's got this year and everything that's going to be coming to him for sure.
Can you tell us about the women's division in New Texas Pro Wrestling?
So that was actually one of the bigger things that I wanted to focus on at New Texas Pro, because I feel like a lot of women's divisions just don't get like a respect that, the men's division or whatever gets. And from the beginning, when Rok-C was like 17, I was like, yeah, like let's just start putting you on shows. Let's start putting you in the ring with like Thunder Rosas, your Kylie Rays, Penelope Fords, Hyon, a lot of great talent that helped her get better. And now she's really like coming into her own as a performer. Rachel Rose is another one. And she was a referee at Reality Wrestling. And I had seen her in training and stuff, and I had known that there was more. And she has a great presence in her character and things like that. And I kind of spotted that early on. And I just think there's a lot of great unsigned women talent in the States right now. And like I said, I mean, there's just a lot of talent that wants to come down and work with Rok-C. There's a lot of talent that wants to come down and work with Rachel Rose. And so that helps. Vert Vixen is another one that's down here that I really, really like. I wish we could start using more of Vert. I think all these women have potential to be not only like get signed, but I think they all have potential to be like breakout stars when they do get signed, if that makes sense. And, this has kind of been something that's been brought to my attention lately about how much people like our women's division. But I put as much importance on that as I do anything we do with Mysterious Q or Bryan Keith, I want that to feel as important as anything we do with them.
So what are some notable names that have come through New Texas Pro?
Man, we've had a lot of names come through. Brian Cage, Thunder Rosa, Chris Bay. We've had him several times. It feels like he's like a regular, but he's not because he lives out in Vegas. Lee Moriarty is somebody we use a lot. AJ Gray, he's coming back. Effie, we've had Effie on our show. Mike Bennett, Davey Richards, Penelope Ford's been on our show before. We've had a lot of people on there. Like I said, bring about 2 or 3 of these guys in every show, but the main focus of our show is on our guys. And I think you kind of get those matchups where you see, our guys versus, like Bryan Keith versus Davey Richards. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but it was just a fantastic matchup. They both have similar styles, and a lot of people got excited about it. And that's kind of what we try to do, is we try to find those matchups. And again, guys like Lee Moriarty, I think he's going to be something very special in this business. I want to try to get him down as much as possible before he gets signed up by somebody where we can't use him anymore. Somebody also like a Fuego del Sol. We've had him on our show a lot, and now Fuego, last night it brought a little tear to my eye just to see him get, because I had conversations with him, and he asked me, he's like, Kiefer, what do I need to do? And I'm just like, you got to be patient, man. It's coming, to see him make it, guys like that. But, Fuego is definitely one of the guys that we've used a lot, and that one of the guys, like I said, we try to use as much as possible. Now he's going to AEW. I mean, we have him on one more date. I haven't really announced this matchup yet, but we've already had this match booked, but it is going to be Mysterious Q versus Fuego del Sol in September. And I think it might be one of Fuego's last indie dates he's going to have. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, we've had a lot of talent on the show. We've been blessed in that regards. And they've kind of, like I said, they've shown that, our Texas guys are on their level in a lot of ways. And that's really what I'm appreciative about.
For someone who's looking to get into New Texas Pro, what's a match someone should start off with? Or what are some matches fans should check out on YouTube?
There's a lot of good matches on YouTube, man. Kylie Ray versus Rachel Rose comes to mind. That's when Kylie just came back recently. Somebody said their favorite match of ours was Mysterious Q versus AJ Gray. It was a really good match. They beat the hell out of each other. Bryan Keith versus Aaron Mercer was a great match that we had. Gino Medina versus Calvin Tankman versus Mysterious Q was a fantastic match. Rok-C versus Rachel Rose. I think we have 2 of those matches on there. That's really good. There's one where Rok-C pulled an Eddie Guerrero spot, and that's how she won the belt. And that was really cool. Man, our YouTube channel has a lot of good wrestling on there. I just put a Best of New Texas Pro playlist together on YouTube. So if you want to just find that, I think there's like 20 matches in there. You can look through that and you can kind of see pretty much what we've had from the beginning. Even the smaller, matches like JJ Blake versus Terrell Tempo, which was to crown our first champion. You might not be as familiar with those guys, but they're both tremendous workers as well, tremendous wrestlers. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of stuff on there that you can check out and really see exactly what New Texas Pro is all about.
Do you have a must-see match on your end for New Texas Pro?
I mean, my favorite match is Mysterious Q versus Bryan Keith from our Bosch show. That was really cool because we didn't have any names, but it also felt like the biggest match the biggest match we've ever put on in New Texas Pro. And if you get a chance to watch that match, it was deemed the hashtag Texas Super Fight, and it lived up to its name, man. It was incredible. I would recommend for anybody to watch that match because you could see two guys putting everything they have into that match. As much as people want to, say the stigma of whatever pro wrestling is, that was like them putting their heart and soul into that match, both of them. And you could really see it when they went out there and did their thing. So once that comes out, man, I promise you that's one you want to check out.
Well, why should fans care about New Texas Pro Wrestling?
I just came from a customer service world, and we try to do our best to treat them all like family. And it feels like we're a big family, and we all get together once a month. We have a core group of fans that literally travel from all parts of the state of Texas, which is also very humbling in its own way. It's just really cool. I don't even know. I mean, I know why they do it, but it just feels like they don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, it just feels like we have a group of fans that are just feel like family, and they want us to be successful. And we just want them to understand that, we're going to do everything we can to make sure what they spend their money on is going to be worth it,
Where can fans find New Texas Pro Wrestling online?
New Texas Pro, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at New Texas PW on Twitter, at New Texas Pro everywhere else. YouTube, we have a really good YouTube channel. We're trying to grow that to 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I guess that's another goal. I just have a million goals in my head. We got a TikTok. I don't really know what we're doing on there, but if we have one, we post things on there. Trying to reach out to a younger generation that I'm still trying to learn. But yeah, I mean, pretty much all social media, we're pretty active on all of it. So reach out to us, message, whatever. And yeah, man, don't worry about me. Don't worry about reaching out to me on anything. Just do Texas Pro. Go follow that. That's what's important.